Namaste to you all. Welcome to the first ever satsang of the YouTube channel Satsang to Awaken. I am Nilanjana Krishnan, welcoming you. I hope your new year is off to a wonderful start. For last year, 2020 was quite the year, wasn't it? It was transformative on so many different levels. Everything around us changed literally overnight, all across the board and all over the globe. We accepted, sometimes kicking and screaming, a new normal. Many institutions, professionals, and laypersons came up with their own research on this subject of discussion that we're going to have today, the COVID-19 pandemic. And there were a lot of people who very brilliantly were able to take these findings and connect the dots from science to medicine to politics, environment, human rights, and so much more. So at the end of the day, we found ourselves with so many different narratives. Many of us believe what we are presented with, especially if it's coming from the so-called authorities, including the mainstream media. And there are some of us who question everything, especially if it came from the so-called authorities and the mainstream media. Um, in fact, I feel that the COVID-19 pandemic has sort of evolved into a organized religion where we are labeled either as believers or deniers. So all this brings up a few questions. Is there just one set of truth surrounding this pandemic, or are there other truths to consider as well? How are we to stay empowered in the midst of instilled fear and a perceived loss of freedom? When I say instilled, I say that because right from the very beginning, early 2020 onwards, we have been inundated with a lot of information on the statistics related to this pandemic, so many deaths and what's happening all over the world. It's almost like how we have the stock market ticker running continuously in the screen of our TVs. Now we have statistics related to the pandemic. So all this has actually instilled quite a lot of fear in the population in general. And I say a perceived loss of freedom because we are divine souls. We are beings of light. We have a body. We are not the body. We only have them as instruments to work through in our lives. So there is no way that a pure divine soul can ever not be free. So that's why I use these words to qualify what I wanted to say. Well, the other thing is, how are we then to identify, uncover our own truths and own them so that we can then be truly free? Because let's face it, no matter what's going on around us, we must continue to navigate living our daily lives and also support those who are looking up to us, including our elderly, our children, and others. So on that note, I'd like to invite my dear friend, Gloria Gates, to join me in exploring this topic further. Welcome, Gloria.
Thank you, Nilanjana.
Very happy to have you, dear. Gloria is an amazing mom, a wonderful grandmother, an adventurous hiker, and I don't know, so many more beautiful things she does with her life. And I just wanted to say that she has 40 years of experience in certified emergency nursing, and about 5 years in pharmaceutical research with companies like Sandoz and Merck and Eli Lilly. and she is a certified medical intuitive. Yes,
Yes,
and
that's
also
correct.
has over 40 years of experience in energy medicine. So we have this beautiful soul, a very dear friend, joining us on this first ever satsang. So I'm very happy to have you. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, lovely. So, I think you and I know definitely, maybe I can speak for you that we are practicing being in the moment and seeing what drives us, what we want to express, and how we want to be moment to moment. So, given that, what, where are you with respect to this topic we're talking about? Where are you right now, and what is it that's on your mind that you would like to share?
Well, I have to say, I am retired in the traditional sense. The traditional sense has allowed me a base knowledge which I can base as I go forward as far as healthcare. But what I've learned in the interim of all of that is what empowers, and it's not what I carried on the outside, but it's what I carry on the inside. And one thing that gives us complete freedom is knowledge. Knowledge empowers. Question everything. And to not to allow the outer to determine the inner. Not one time have I been suppressed. I do not realize there is a problem until I look around and they are masked. Because first I find ways to keep informed, um, and the other is not allowing the outer to determine me. So, in doing so, what is it that you would like to experience in life? Where would you like to go? There are no limits. You determine that.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
fear, there's nothing that can sink our boats quicker than fear. If something is spoon fed and your response is fear, question right away, for it is there to oppress.
Yes, very beautifully said. Absolutely. I think the seems like one of the bigger highlights of this whole experience that we've had starting from early 2020 has been just that. We have allowed fear to sort of be our guide instead of who we really are within us, the light that we are. Because fear
Yes.
is really, in a way, I remember from a teacher several years ago, he said, fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and then recognizing the truth of who we are, within, and we are souls having this beautiful experience. So, how do we express ourselves given what we are presented with? And I think that is the key. And I think that's also one area a lot of us are not sure how to break out of that cycle, you see, because we have, like I just sort of explored at the beginning, so many different narratives, right, coming from reputed who's who in the industry, as well as a lot of lay persons as well, bringing sharing their opinions. And so we are surrounded by so much information, right? Relevant knowledge, like you said, is power. It's empowering. How do we sift through all of this information that is around us? How do we begin to make sense? How do we separate fact from, fiction, just so to speak? So, do you have any thoughts on that, Gloria, given your experience in the medical industry, and even outside, just as who you are in society?
Well, I'm 70 years old in 4 days. And what I have observed in through my experience, whether it was in my profession or whether it was in my personal life, in the rearing of my children, or it was it in my self studies. And that is to believe in none more than we believe in ourselves. And if we observe history, if we observe locations where there is control, where all is lost, it was a forgotten of self and given the power to others, for we have lost belief within ourselves. And this programming starts at the time that we enter school. If we choose to color a picture, it's already determined within the dot. You go outside of the dot. This is where we start to question ourselves. But this is an opportunity that is before us, for it's always been existing in the clouds, or in the midst, as if we were empowered, but we were not. So in the midst of this so supposedly virus, or this challenging time, is a time of change. And to get back to all the years of experience, the first grade, kindergarten, was it always programming us to that others knew more than we? I choose to color my picture outside of the dot. This is my creativity. We were not supported there, but we can awaken to that anytime our lives. For this so-called pandemic is an opportunity to empower, to awaken, to direct anew, to live our passion, to be empowered. Question: what is it that's lurking inside that was oppressed a long time ago? Open up. Let it be. This is our opportunity. Not that it's our problem. It was presented by maybe others' intention as a problem, but we can take it as our opportunity. Remember, what is it that's been lurking? Give it power. Believe in none more than you believe in yourself. And I, with the background even in, in traditional medicine, I loved what I did. But in what I observed, what I experienced, that which many have come to believe in, that it's there to save you, it's a manipulation for a profit. If it was caring about you in your best interest, I would be still there. I would be front line. I would be there until I leave this earth. But it's not. It is about protocols. It is manipulating you to believe that something is taking place when it's not. I would be still there. Within us, we have the ability to heal, but in stress, if we look at the scientifics of even the background of cancer, much of it comes at the foundation of stress. What does fear do? And this is the driving force. Do we see people dying of the virus, or do we see people dying of the stress? But death is a part of life. There's no death. What is it that we fear? As we fear losing our lives, have we suppressed to the point that we're already dead? Trust none more than you trust within. And as Nalanja alluded to, we are not our bodies, and we're so much more. Become centered. Know that all that is required for us to heal is within. Even though I was in the traditional setting, I have used alternative measures for, as Nalanja mentioned, energy medicine. It works. And energy meaning that we are an energy. Everything is a frequency. The lowest frequency possible is guilt. Oh, if I go to visit my grandma, she's going to die. What energy is present? Guilt. This is a lower frequency. It fosters illness. If I go to, if I don't wear my mask, or if I just do it and wear the mask, I'm going to be healed. Oh, that's a lower frequency. What's driving that fear? Within us all, as we co-create or coexist in our environment, It's already there. You take care of this temple, and they'll take care of you. And fear is not the answer.
Yes, so beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. And when you talked about vibration, I think that is something that I have been, very closely working with, and I understand how viruses and even emotions such as guilt, it's very, it's the lowest frequency of vibration, and viruses and any negative low vibrational entities are very low. So if we can keep our vibrations high, raise our consciousness, definitely all of these may not exercise that kind of an adverse influence on us, and we may not even be permeable to them in a sense. And I just feel like somewhere this kind of knowledge, universal knowledge, metaphysical knowledge, spiritual knowledge, all of this is not something our school system, you're talking about, an early days of wanting to color outside the picture. We are not presented with the truth of us. We are not presented with knowledge about our potentialities, who we are, what we can be, that this imaginary glass ceiling doesn't have to exist.
Yes.
And to be able to, in these trying times, and I say trying times, I'm putting myself in the position of a lot of people that I talk to, friends and family, who really are very deeply stressed by this, what's been happening and what's also continuing to happen. It may, for someone who is in that line of thinking, who's even not even hopeful, who's probably afraid, fear, maybe even what's that? A bit of anger, even. Some sub level of anger, even inability and loneliness. Talk about loneliness.
Yes. Yes.
So all
Yes.
of these are very much felt by people, and this is real for them. This
Yes.
is very real for them. So have when we are surrounded by friends and family who are looking at this in this way, what would be some ways that we can start approaching the how one can turn the corner, as they say, in looking at it and helping raise their own vibration one step at a time? What are some ways that you have probably offered your family, friends? um, what would be some of the starting point for this? How could we start?
Well, I would say the starting point would be first to question. And as I was mentioned early on, is the power of knowledge. First of all, who do are we giving our power to that may be driving this force? Look into whether it be your politicians, whether it be we've given a great deal of our power over to the media. Who is the media? Look into who's driving the media. Look at who may be the person that we're giving our power, our state power to, whatever it might be. Become knowledgeable to that which we are giving our power to. Now, just start to look at what is a virus. How does that work? So when we see many of the deaths in which many people are dying of what is a bacterial pneumonia,
Ah,
now it says, but there's a virus and they were septic. Uh, Now look at what is a bacterium, what is a virus. Look at those things. Question everything. But as we spoke before, if it is driving you by fear of, question even more, but become knowledgeable. And first of all, and so we can reclaim our power. When we go to visit the doctor or, a medical institution, I had patients would come in and say, well, you're the expert, just tell me what to do. We adopted that idea a long time ago and it was programmed in. But if we choose to empower, is to question that. Do I know more about you than you know about yourself? And I have said that to my patients. You've been with that body for years. Who are you? None know more than you. Trust within and raise your frequency. And because, like we said, everything is energy. All those things, guilt. If one, just like where I was in the situation of the medical, you walk in and you say, oh boy, you're the expert. Just tell me what to do. And guess what? Our driving force is to feed off of you. And you just came in and said, you know more about me, because guess what? It's there under the illusion that we're there for you, but it's there for a profit. So if this is where you're getting what's driving you, what's controlling you, take it back, because we were even given acronyms that we could, and come in and put a stethoscope on your chest, as if years ago we did assessments. Oh, you don't have time for assessments because time is money. And not only that, it's just about protocol. Follow protocol. And the protocol is for the other P, which is a profit. That's why I'm not there. But you can reclaim your power by questioning. And if there is fear, then replace it with faith, because that's going to come within, and see how it feels, because there's a different feel. And you feel empowered. You may even start to say, because for me, they were saying to me, I've been everywhere. I have flown, as soon as this was happening. And they were given the $2.4 billion for airlines to keep flying. Question these, look at these things. Yes. So I flew and on May the 11th, before May 11th, from March on, the flights did not ever stop. Confined cabins, right? But your children are not in school. You are locked down in your house. Your loved ones, what fosters illness is loneliness, separation. They long for you. Question this. Question and be empowered. But getting back to, I flew. It was incorporated on the 11th of May to wear a mask on a flight. So on May 13th, that was because the people had started in fear. But what about, we need these masks, because you were wearing them everywhere else, but not on a flight. So, okay, it was incorporated. So on the 13th of May, I flew. I didn't have a mask. I've been everywhere. I haven't had nothing. I have no symptoms whatsoever, because guess what? I made a decision to adopt an attitude of empowerment. I hike. I love life. And guess what? It'll love you back. You fear life. And guess what? By its fright, will you become its demise? So love life. Question. But anyway, I flew, had the best flight ever. People were on there. You could sit anywhere you like, while everybody else was locked in their house with a fear that they were going to die. I've not ever stopped. Oh, I haven't stopped. I've been everywhere. Over the holidays, I don't even notice that anything's happening. And go out in nature and listen. Listen in here. Then you're wearing a mask, okay? Are you sick? Think about it. You trust yourself. Trust. Oh, we trust in the media. We listen to the TV. Oh, they just told you were sick. Okay, so I'm sick. Listen within. You know when you're sick.
Yes.
So, but you're wearing the mask, and let's get back to those masks.
Yes.
We wore a mask in the medical setting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the just those yellow and blue ones, it doesn't do anything. But anything in a viral, whether it be a virus or bacteria, it is going to be defined as droplets, contact of airborne. This which the monster or the terrorist, whatever it might have become to us, is it defined, or it says wear the mask and lock yourself in the doors and lock away your loved ones? Look at that. Look at it and you question it. But wearing masks, just say the yellow ones, the blue one, all of those, or just wearing a handkerchief, something that hasn't been defined. Have we really been given a definition of this? Oh, this is airborne, and you see the data supporting why it is, just like you would say TB, that would be airborne, which is tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
That would be airborne. So chicken pox, that would be airborne. So all of those have been defined, but nothing has, and then if it once it's defined, there are certain type of coverings that might work for it. The yellow, the blue ones, it worked well in surgery, to protect the patient. But those particles, say if it's airborne, a handkerchief doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
The blue mask doesn't work. The yellow ones don't work. But you know what? Then the N95s would. But that's something we were not wearing any longer than 20 minutes. Because what is happening? We have two areas of waste. Our body is built in perfection to support our immunities. For health is illness is nothing more than a disease. It is a disease, meaning that it is out of balance. So now, when we say we have two exit points, and this is what we are told to do, do we see anything supporting anything falling dead? We have sensory, we know things, but what else do we see other than you're told to wear this mask? So now getting back to this mask.
Mm-hmm.
So the I've mentioned the ones that doesn't work, but nothing has been defined around this so-called terrorist, well, you call it virus, pandemic. Nothing is defined out of those three. So you would know exactly how to protect yourself. Or the fact whether touching something, because if it's contact, then it's on the surface. But this is left just out there. Wear your mask and you lock yourself indoors. So with getting back to these both being, you have two places of waste. This keeps our body in balance. So when the anal, that area, that is solid waste. But when we also have gaseous waste, in the lungs, there's a small amount of aspergillus.
Mm-hmm.
In the mouth, which aspergillus is a form of bacteria. So, but only in small amounts. Even we have a certain amount of fungus in our bodies. We have thousands of forms of bacteria, but it's healthy bacteria. But as the body is designed for this exhaustion, just like your car, imagine covering up that exhaust. But okay, in the mouth you have more bacteria than anywhere in your body, and that's what's digestion purposes. And so when we cover now, we are not. There's an interruption in that flow of waste. So now what do we cover? Now we re-inhale that waste, which was intended to flow with one another, with the interchange. With those interchanges, do we build up our immunities to our environment and to each other? It actually feeds us. So when you exhale, even as it interacts with the environment, whether it's plant life, whether it's mold, whatever it is there for us to coexist, and it can support our immune system as we do so. But with the covering of the mask, what we're doing is we retaining what we're blowing out as CO2.
Mm-hmm.
So when we cover, We are re-inhaling that. And what happens with the retention of CO2 is confusion. And the brain is to have a certain amount of oxygen. It feeds on oxygen. But it also impedes our oxygen at the same time. Think about that warm, moist air. When you're wearing that mask, feel it. Warm, moist air, and you're re-breathing it. What happens? It's in primary biology science, even, back when in elementary school. Anything, bacterial, fungus, any of those things, put it in a warm, moist environment and see what happens. Now, what we're seeing in our medical institutions and what I am seeing with those that I am in contact with is they're all coming down with something that is called bacterial pneumonia. That's very interesting when you say, this is a virus that we're running from. Boy, we running. Boy, that's a big elephant. But guess what, people? What we seem to be plagued with is this bacterial pneumonia. So take a look at that, question that. But guess what? We're also covering or impeding the natural flow of our body that does support health. So, and even with us with those N95s, because I'm not sure if you know what an N95, that's the one that has a clip. And that's a very serious mask to be worn. Think about the fact, are we being educated to these masks? No, just cover your face. They're not all equal. And many that may be wearing those N95s, that is impeding your gaseous or your waste exchange even more than others. We would only wear those about 20 minutes until we could get a respirator. So look, how educated are we to what we're being not asked to do, but we're being told? And think about what supports our illness: fear, guilt, loneliness, whether isolation, all of those things, stress of the lack of not knowing whether tomorrow I'm going to have work, whether my kids are going to be able to eat. And our kids are locked away in a room when kids, it's the time of their life for social engagement. Is that in our well-being? Is this supporting health? No. Over my years of experience and observation, there's nothing that this supported that what is called dis-ease or that imbalance than those things that I just named. But to believe in yourself, to follow your dreams, to live your life, to remember who you are.
Yes.
I was diagnosed with something some years ago, sarcoidosis granuloma. And that is an example of attitude. I was a runner at the time. Not a time did I miss work. I had fevers for a whole month. Said this one is something that is malignant. Within, when I tapped within, and I knew exactly, I started doing things to boost my immune system, not in fear, because when we open up, it's amazing what information can come. I knew exactly what to take. I knew exactly what to do. Stay active and keep that attitude alive and question. Even when the doctor said to me, "Oh, this is something that is this is a malignancy, or this is something that over time it will take over all of your," because it's autoimmune type of disease. So it would destroy your lungs, it would destroy your kidneys, your eyes, everything. So this is something that you will have to live with until you die. I walked away and I said, nope, I'm going to remember. And that's what we all can do, that we can continue to live. And guess what? All I have today is a little spot of calcification, about a dime size on my right lung. That's all. So it's all about remembering.
Yes.
and believe in none more than you believe within, because within is where it is. I'm a living example of it. All
Oh,
right. And
yeah.
I have been there. All right.
Oh, this is so beautiful, Gloria. I'm just, in awe listening to you. And, you shared your experience on the field and just what you just shared now about how you made that so-called diagnosis into an opportunity.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And I, and
There
I,
is
and I,
opportunity in everything.
there's opportunity in everything. And I absolutely 200% agree with you on all the things that you just shared, because it's what we choose. It's
It
what
is.
we choose. What we choose. It's not what we are told that we should do, but what we choose. It's it's from listening to you, it seems to me as if while you were in the field, in the medical field, um, and you said you actually would never have left were it not
Yes.
for all that we see happening for a for a ulterior motive of just primarily profit and following protocols, right?
Yes.
It
If
just
it, go ahead.
no, please go ahead. Yeah.
If it was supporting of the people and their highest well-being, like I said, I
Oh,
would have been still there, front line, and I would have been there until the end.
oh, yes, absolutely, because there is no retirement for expressing who you are in this world.
Yes.
I mean, again, even the concept of retirement, it's also a belief system
Yes.
placed in our society so that, it goes in a linear progression. Whereas we are not linear. Our thoughts, our who we are, it's really cyclical, and our growth, our ascension, our elevating in consciousness is a spiral. It's never ever a straight line. We are either spiraling up in consciousness, or all everything is happening now. All aspects of life are happening now, physical, non-physical. All aspects of who you are determine who you are and who you will be. You have to look at, in my in my world, in my health coaching practice and all that, we I often bring up the concept of, there's something known as food, like physical things that nourish you, food and good, keeping your immune system well and all that, but there's also the non-physical aspects, right?
Yes, it
Our
is.
relationships, our spirituality, our physical activity, our our joy factors, our self-expression. There is just so much more. And I feel remembering that we are not one dimensional beings there were somehow one line of treatment, just addressing a health issue with just medicines, or even just talking about it as, okay, boost your immunity. All of that has its place, but not without considering in totality the rest of life that makes you,
Yes.
your social life, your spirituality, your every form of expression, education, continuous learning, uh, out there, going out there serving
Yes.
the best you can, being of help to others, so many aspects that make you. So I'm really very inspired by your story and just your life. I mean, I it's never a moment when I have a chat with you and that I don't get inspired, or you just give me a boost. You're like the tonic,
But I do have a story to support you. We're talking about so much of, it's not just the food, it's not just the, and a drug can't be the answer. It is the example of an infant.
Yes.
If the infant, you can give the infant a bottle and give him his feedings every 4 hours, 3 hours, and he may take the complete 4 ounces allotted him. But if he's not touched and nurtured, and that interchange, even your face, the infant will become failure to thrive. He will not thrive on that food alone. And this is something that has been well documented, and I have also observed it because I was in pediatrics for from 85 to 90,
Mhm.
and that was happening. Babies that were coming in, they were being fed, but they were not nurtured. That inner, because that connection that we have with each other, even as we wear these, um, I almost called it a diaper, which it is because the diaper that we wear on our face, which is covering our other area of excretion of waste,
Right.
it impedes our interactions with one another. That also affects us. So every chance you get with question, you make those contacts, because those are critical. And examine your thinking about how am I feeling? What are my feelings about whatever it is? Redirect that, and if you can, ask that question: where is the opportunity? Because there's greatness in everything. And
Yes.
it, like Nalanja mentioned, it's our choice.
Yes. It is. It is absolutely. And it just reminds me that I feel like all of us. I know you do, I do. And large lot of us probably have our own practices that ground us, that anchor us within, right? Like,
Yes.
some it's
Yes.
meditation, for me it's meditation, yoga,
Yes.
cooking, and just, and for you it's hiking and running, walking, and all the things that you have been doing, and more things, of course. It's not limited
Yes.
to this, but everybody has their martial arts, their music, their dancing. um, just think of a creative expression that is divine, that is, it's not just that. Spirituality is not necessarily just something that you do with god or divine alone.
Yes.
It's anything you do that expresses yourself fully, that anchors you from within, that helps you remember who you really are, and keeps you feeling even closer
Yes.
to the cosmic consciousness. That those tools, all of us, I would say, majority of us actually have. There are people who go to temples, churches. There is faith. There are so many tools that we have. But now is the time, in times when life is presenting seeming challenges and fears, and all of these narratives, and all this confusion and doubts. Now is the time to go access that tool from your toolbox.
Yes.
Meditate more,
Yes.
prepare new recipes. Um, you know, you've studied about how to take care of the body. Maybe now is the time to actually do it.
Yes.
Don't keep it as a theory somewhere stacked in a little audio cd, or a little journal somewhere that you've taken notes before. But now is the time to let the rubber meet the road, as they say. you know make the spiritual DNA come alive, access it
Yes.
through all that you know to already do.
Yes.
Why will all of these things not support your growth, your vibrational alignment with who you really are, and raising in consciousness? I think it's time for us to go back to our roots,
Yes.
and not
And,
just get
and
flustered.
I would like to say, supporting that, as Nalanjana just mentioned, is that if we can, as we seek or open up to empower, or to live our passion, to give embrace to who we are, is maybe looking back on how we have come to be, that we have forgotten, that we give away our power so easily. Did we just start this? No, we did not. That was a program that has been going on from the time of our birth. And that is, first of all, to obey. The word obey is a very negative word. So we've been fed much unbeknownst to ourselves because it has become normal. You obey if you question or if you do against that which is given as a mandate or an order that you do. Now you are either labeled as rebellious or you are another word. It's a very negative word to me, but uh, 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 it's been labeled as a negative word.
I can't think of it.
Disobedient, or it's another word too, and rebellious,
Rebellion.
rebellious. So all of those things, and so when we look back at this, then we take a look at how did I get to be where I am? When then in school, or whether it's you go to the doctor, the doctor says you do it. If mother says do it. Now for my kids, I said if you have a question about it, you present it, and if you can give me a good reason, guess what? We can redirect this. Always speak up because you have a voice too. But many have not been given that option. If
Yes.
they were older, they knew more than me. If they had a title, they know more than me. But who am I? I'm nobody in the scheme of things. So this is how we have arrived where we are. But
Yes.
take a look at how we have arrived, not bearing any blame, because it was all meant in our best interest. We've all been trained that way. So
Mhm.
acknowledge how we became to this point that we give away our power so easily because we have been trained to do so.
Yes.
And
But
then recognizing that, can we retrieve it?
yes. Yeah.
Question.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I think it's all about our conditioning, what we have been, what has been happening from in our school systems. And it's just started off when we are 2 and 3 years old,
Yes.
right? Uh,
Yes.
where,
Yes. Go ahead.
it feels like a assembly line, right? You just
Yes.
go in and then you are being, you know, it's like a cookie cutter model of the same thing for everyone, and with some things being maybe a little bit different for the other child, but it's pretty much the same thing for every student. And then you come out and then you have all the credentials, your grades, and then that feeds you into another system called college education, and then you
Yes.
go through that. And
Yes.
again, as I'm speaking, I'm seeing like a straight line. It's
Yes. That's
really,
it. That's it.
oh, we'll worry about health once we finish, school. We'll play games once we are done studying and getting our grades. Then we will play.
Yes.
It's not about the fact that life is happening now and everything is happening now and can happen now, and that's when we are living wholly, holistically. When you say whole, we look the image in my mind is comes like a circle. When you say whole,
Yes.
whether it's WHOLE or even HOLE, it has an appearance of a circle, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when you look at it holistically, wholesome, it had to be that kind of a person. You linear way and postponing life, putting it on pause is not the way.
That's
And we have, taught our children how to be. That society is conditioning, and I think there's a lot of responsibility that comes on us, as parents, as caregivers, that we do not continue to program them or affirm what is already happening. But
yes.
so I'm actually very very grateful for the school education, I guess, your grandkids and my children
Yes.
had together. I think that
Yes.
was a beautiful beautiful setup with such a mind body spirit kind of an education curriculum. And that is so important. That is so important, learning to resolve conflicts, getting along with each other, giving back to nature,
Yes.
giving back to the community, and also learning your math, science, whatever it is that
Yes.
you enjoy and that which
Yes.
you need for going, getting by day to day. Computers these days, of course, right? All of these things are necessary, but all have to happen in life together. That
Yes.
is holistic. So I totally agree with you on pretty much everything. It just feels like we are just kind of, it's like a mirror. we are, it's like, mirroring so much of our lives. Our contexts are different, but I think we are, you know, looking at it the same way. Yeah.
Even if we say, if we look at when we, as we've gone through our lives, how many times from the time whether we were first grade, second grade, to say, let's look at your qualities. Who are you? What are you about? No, it was one way, one agenda. So we understand how we have arrived. Now we can have the understanding. Now we can make that choice, and we know exactly how we can rise above it. In this situation, called whether it be called pandemic, virus, whatever it is,
Yes.
the monster in the room, which is the illusion that is controlling our lives. Are we going to give power to it? Or are we going to look it in the eye and we're going to say, this is my opportunity. This is my time. For it was forgotten a long time ago, but it's my time to retrieve it. So, in other words, this is my time to truly connect with life because subtly it's been going on all along. But right now, it's blatantly there in our faces, and we can look at it, remember how we got arrived where we are, and we can determine how we rise above it because we now know what empowers us and what disempowers us. And we know that which is out there.
Yes.
We do not give our power to none that is outside of that which is within. You listen in here, and your answers will always be there.
Yes. Oh, that is.
And you will rise above any adversities because it becomes your wings.
Oh, yes.
And that has happened with me. Many have said, Gloria, you really had a tough life. And I can tell you from example, is the choices with you.
Oh,
And
yes.
the answers are within. And any of those that's been oppressed, you bring them forth. Not to believe out there, believe in none more than you believe within and in here where we connect with all there is.
Yes, absolutely.
There are your wings.
Yes, yes, very true. The truth is within. The truth is within. And I think it's very important for those who feel that accessing this voice is difficult. Yeah, I understand that the truth is within. All of that makes sense. But how do I? I always run into a circle. People say, "Oh my gosh, I go get into this loop like a hamster on a wheel," right? Not being able to access that voice or find those wings within. But I feel for that, it's very important to first be still, find the stillness within. When you're able to find stillness within, again, through any of your practices, meditation is wonderful, going into nature is beautiful, and turning off social media and TV, where especially where you're inundated with information, like information overload, and also negativity, fear, and all the events that are getting triggered around us. Imagine just turning it off, almost doing like a media detox,
Yes.
and finding that still small voice deep inside. And even if you even if you don't know exactly what it is saying, you can experience calmness and stillness
Yeah.
in that time. And I think starting to feel that first sense of stillness within, even if for a few seconds at a time, would be a good starting point. to
Yeah.
then start building upon it. Because when there is noise, the TV is on, and you have all these beautiful ideas floating around you, you kind of know it in your conscious mind, but it hasn't become integrated with you. It can only integrate when you will allow.
Yes.
And I think it's important for people to not just give the power away for getting information from external sources, but for some time, go in and get it from the source within.
Yes.
The authority within.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
and I think if that's people can just access it a little bit at a time, that will, you know, like a few drops make a mighty ocean, right? Drop by drop. So that's how you can find that true, your own truth, your inner voice, your truth in that space. It's important to create space for that. Right? Yeah. Oh wow, there is so much I could keep talking with you. I had almost had a little list of things that we could talk about, and like I said, Gloria, it always ends up there is somebody else holding the remote and working through this instrument. And I think if that's what needs to, if that's, that's all we needed to talk about, then that's all we needed to talk about. But if there's anything that is in your mind that is really, yeah, that you wanted to share, and something to sort of help you feel like feeling complete, you may share now, or yeah, whatever.
Um, as we were speaking, and you were speaking, Nalanjan, about freeing ourselves, and to center within, and maybe some may still find a block, as we center, because then as we are receiving this information that's feeding our fears, we can turn that off. But then much have been placed there that it's continuing to play. And if you find yourself there, there is many videos, streaming, physicians, nurses, scientists, biologists, virologists, all of them. The information is out there in the media. Seek that out. That you can be educated to that which has been driven us as we lack understanding for it. Because it's so easy to believe anything as long as when we don't know. And we would trust that. And then now I'm meditating and I'm trying to center. But what about all those people who's dying? Well, is that really the truth? If you look very deeply, we'll find out those numbers have been manipulated. And I say that is because when all of this started, I was in touch with my ex-colleagues, the hospitals, and I even took a friend to the hospital. The hospital was empty, and I asked questions. And I was told, well, until this happened, we were. And when I was in healthcare, the hospital in recent years, we had patients in the hallway. We weren't able to transfer because hospitals were full. In the last 9 or 10 months, that hasn't been the case. And even in the early on times, many of the healthcare workers were being laid off, and there were hospitals that were being closed. So does that add up? That's kind of like saying 2 + 2 is 10. Look at it, and then you say, well, the experts said that, so that must be true. That's where what we would like to rethink that and reclaim our power with knowledge, along with our, now that we have knowledge, it also frees us up to live our lives, because Now, I'm not going to be told that, guess what, if you go on that trip, all these people are going to die. Or if I'm told that I take the virus, take the vaccine, and
Yeah.
I'm a silent carrier. How does a virus work? Look it up. It's right there. And there are many who can educate you. There are many who are out there speaking out and speaking the truth in your best interest. They're not getting paid to do it. Look at the ones that's getting trillions of dollars at your expense. And how do you feel in the process? Listen to them and see what are they getting at your expense and how do you feel. And then, as we study our bodies, how does the immune system work?
Yes.
How is it? Question, question, question. And with the questioning, we will connect with that which empowers us. Because just as people would think the hospitals are full, I can tell you that's not true.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there are less patients there than they have been in my career in the last, I'd say, 10 to 15, well, at least 20 years. We it has gradually increased, but in the last 10 months, it has been less than
Wow.
all of those years of my practice. Does
Yeah.
that add up, or does that 2 plus 2 is 10? It
Wow.
is to be questioned. The programming is to be questioned. Believe in none more than you believe in yourself. We are not our bodies. That when we leave this body is a part of life, just as much as life is. And if we seclude, are we living or we're dying while we're still breathing?
Yeah.
Empower, question, and believe in none more than you believe in yourself. You are all beautiful being, and as we were created that all is available to us, lacking none. And that called disease is just an imbalance. Recenter, rebalance, don't forget.
Yeah.
And you will thrive.
Yes, very beautifully said. I love that. Believe in none other than you would believe in yourself.
Within, we
And
feel it when it's not okay. You feel the disturbance.
yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. And I again, it just comes back to the conditioning, right? We've been
Yes,
told that listen to the authority, listen
that's
to authority, listen to the teacher, listen to the doctor, listen to so and so. They know better than you. And I think that belief system needs to be erased.
yes.
And
Listen to your government. Anything that has a title behind it, no more than you. That is the biggest myth ever given. Like I said, I've been here 70 years and I have experienced and I have questions and I have had results that has been outside of that which was with the intent to program.
oh yes, oh
Yeah.
yes, that's a whole big topic we could get into and talk for another hour. Sure.
Was I told that that my what was before me was a death sentence? Oh yes. Oh, did I miss a day of work? No.
No, that
Yeah,
is so
really,
lovely.
it really is. We come to this world with all that is required for us to live life to the fullest. Let
Yes,
us not forget.
absolutely, absolutely. Just remember who you really are. Just remember, it's about just remembering, getting back to that primordial knowledge of you.
Yes,
Yes, yeah, and just go back to that, go back to the source, go back within, and connect to the cosmic consciousness and get your advice from there.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and you did talk about some of the research. I know we talked about potentially sharing about so many other possible research and kind of our opinions and take on that. But what I would do is I can go ahead and uh, link it in the description box,
Okay.
so people can anyone who wants can do their own further reading up or watching of the video, depending on where the link takes you. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, are you feeling complete? Is there anything
I
else?
am feeling complete. You know, I was just thinking,
Yes.
because we were talked about how much myth, I mean, has been inundated on our population to
Yes.
appease an agenda over time, and whether it has come through that which we call our healthcare that we have trusted. Also, you know, I was in did research was with some pharmaceutical research,
Yes.
and I can say that there wasn't any of that that was not manipulated. What took place, and these are when we these drug companies are what's driving much of the whether we take a vaccine and tell you this is the science. Um, what the information that we were finding, there's always a gatekeeper, and
Uh,
the gatekeeper, even as I presented my findings, the information that would be sent out to the company that was paying our grant money was always going to support the expectation. So just think about even the maybe the drug companies or the companies that we're trusting, that you know, in the pills that you take, or whatever. Even that, look a little deeper, find out information, become knowledgeable to what you're taking. So if we are going to be driven or believing in these companies, would we really believe in one that their tactics seem to be quite manipulative? Because all of it, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter what was the finding. If the finding did not coincide with the expectation, it was always changed. So just know that's something I'd like to share, just to, again, whether it's medication, whether it's whatever it might be,
yes.
uh, do not give away your power to what we have come to believe. Look farther, for knowledge is empowering.
Yes. Oh,
Question everything and everybody.
yes. Are you getting an echo? I'm getting an echo.
Yes, now I am. Maybe that's a sign.
I love it when that happens, doesn't it? Okay. All right. Oh, the echo stopped, but it's fine. So, Gloria, I just absolutely enjoyed having you with us and having this conversation. And my intention is that whoever is supposed to find this information and get some value from it, may they find it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nilanjana, for
Thank
having
you so much. It was a joy.
me.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.